In the early 1990s, mobile computing still felt like science fiction. Phones made calls, laptops stayed in bags until you reached a desk. Email lived on desktop screens, tied to dial-up tones and office towers. Yet in the background, a small Canadian company, Research in Motion, later known worldwide as BlackBerry, was quietly building the idea that would define modern work: communication that follows you everywhere. 1. The world before the always-on device. To understand BlackBerry's rise, you have to remember the friction of communication back then. If someone needed you, they called your office, left a voicemail, or paged you with a number you'd call back later. Email existed, but it was slow, inconsistent, and linked to a computer. The typical professional's day was full of gaps, moments when you were unreachable, moments when information was delayed, moments where decisions waited for the next meeting. BlackBerry's big insight was not simply email on a phone, it was email as an instant, reliable service, and it treated reliability like a sacred promise. Many companies tried handheld email, but it was clunky. BlackBerry made it feel inevitable. 2. The moment that changed everything: push email. BlackBerry's signature feature, push email, was its superpower. Instead of checking an inbox manually, messages arrived automatically, quietly, and immediately. That sounds normal today, but at the time it was revolutionary. This wasn't a gadget trick, it was a psychological shift. People began to expect immediacy. Executives could approve deals on the move. Sales teams could respond within minutes. Lawyers could review drafts from a taxi. Politicians could coordinate while traveling. And because BlackBerry was built for the enterprise, it wasn't just fast, it was controlled. 3. The fortress: security, encryption, and trust. While most consumer electronics aimed for excitement, BlackBerry aimed for trust. It built a reputation for strong security, encrypted messaging, centralized management, and reliability at scale. In many organizations, BlackBerry didn't just sell devices, it sold a whole system: servers, policies, provisioning tools, and administrative controls. For IT departments, this was everything. They could deploy phones the way they deployed computers, with rules. For corporate leaders, it reduced risk. For government agencies and regulated industries, it became a standard tool. BlackBerry grew not merely through marketing, but through institutional adoption. Once a company standardized on BlackBerry, it became sticky, hard to replace, deeply embedded in workflows. 4. Hardware as identity: the keyboard that built a culture. BlackBerry's physical keyboard was more than a feature, it was a symbol. The click-click rhythm of a BlackBerry being typed became a kind of soundtrack of ambition. People felt fast using it. It allowed quick edits, accurate replies, and long messages. It made serious communication possible on a device. Those keyboards also shaped behavior: short, rapid exchanges, constant responsiveness, and a new expectation of availability. BlackBerry didn't just fit into corporate life, it helped reshape it. 5. The network effect: BBM and the private universe. Then came BBM, a messaging platform that felt like a secret club. It used pins, delivered messages quickly, and showed confirmation indicators, features that later became normal across messaging apps. In many regions and communities, BBM became a cultural phenomenon. It wasn't only for executives anymore. Students, young professionals, and social circles adopted BlackBerry because BBM was where conversations lived. BlackBerry now had two engines: enterprise dominance and social momentum. For a time, it looked unstoppable. 6. A brand synonymous with status and productivity. By the mid-2000s, owning a BlackBerry could signal that you mattered. It wasn't just a phone, it was a badge of responsibility. You were needed, you were connected, you were moving. Crackberry became a nickname not only because it was addictive, but because it represented a new kind of life: constant alertness, constant motion, constant updates. Many people loved this, some hated it, but everyone noticed it. 7. BlackBerry's peak, the perfect storm of timing. BlackBerry's rise worked because it arrived when multiple conditions aligned. Email was becoming central to business operations, mobile networks were improving enough to support dependable data, organizations wanted control over devices, not chaos, consumers were ready for messaging communities, but social apps were still young. Phone makers weren't yet thinking like software companies, so a well-designed, integrated system could dominate. BlackBerry executed with focus. It did a few things exceptionally well: secure communication, reliable messaging, and productivity on the go. 8. The company mindset, engineering certainty, not experimentation. Internally, BlackBerry's culture was shaped by its enterprise customers. Enterprise customers rewarded stability. They valued predictable upgrades, compatibility, and security at scale. This influenced everything: product decisions, timelines, and risk tolerance. That approach can build an empire, but it also creates a blind spot. The consumer world moves faster, changes tastes quickly, and rewards bold experiments. BlackBerry's strengths were becoming a kind of gravity, pulling it toward the old rules even as the market began to write new ones. 9. The warning signs, small, easy to dismiss. Even at the peak, there were hints of danger. Web browsing on many BlackBerry devices felt limited compared to computers. Media consumption wasn't the priority. App ecosystems were still immature. The experience was built around email, calendars, and messaging, essential tools, but not the full vision of what a smartphone could become. At that time, though, it didn't matter. BlackBerry wasn't trying to be an entertainment platform, it was trying to be a communication machine, and it was winning. 10. 2007, the world tilts. Then the iPhone arrived, and the definition of a phone began to change. It wasn't just a better device, it was a different philosophy. The phone as a pocket computer with a full screen, designed around software, touch interaction, and a future of apps. It treated the internet not as a limited add-on, but as a core experience. It approached users not as employees, but as humans with photos, music, maps, games, and curiosity. For BlackBerry, the iPhone wasn't initially a business threat. Many enterprise leaders dismissed it as a consumer toy. IT departments worried about security and control. The physical keyboard seemed irreplaceable. The BlackBerry ecosystem still looked strong. But the market had shifted in a subtle way. The center of gravity moved from IT departments to end users. People began choosing phones because they loved them, not because their company issued them. And once employees carried a powerful smartphone in their pocket, they began asking, "Why can't I use this for work too?" That question would become the crack in BlackBerry's fortress. 11. The rise's hidden cost, being too good at the old game. BlackBerry's greatest achievement was also its trap. It perfected enterprise communication, secure, controlled, reliable. But the smartphone revolution wasn't just about communication, it was about software platforms, developer ecosystems, consumer delight, and constant reinvention. BlackBerry had built a machine optimized for certainty. The new era rewarded speedy experimentation and design-led thinking. It didn't collapse overnight. In fact, BlackBerry fought hard, launched new devices, tried new operating systems, and made major strategic shifts. But the turning point had arrived, and the next phase would be defined by a question BlackBerry struggled to answer quickly enough. Was the smartphone mainly a business tool, or was it becoming the center of digital life? In Part 2, we'll follow the fall, the strategic misreadings, the platform wars, the internal pressures, the app economy's explosion, and the long journey from global dominance to reinvention. When people talk about BlackBerry's fall, they often reduce it to a simple story. They ignored the iPhone, or they didn't understand touchscreens, or they were too obsessed with keyboards. Those points contain truth, but they are incomplete. BlackBerry's decline was not one mistake. It was a chain of pressures, timing problems, and strategic mismatches in a market that changed faster than any enterprise-focused company was built to handle. BlackBerry didn't fail because it was lazy. It failed because the industry moved from one game to another, from devices to platforms, from IT control to user choice, from messaging to ecosystems, from stability to constant iteration. BlackBerry tried to adapt, but it adapted while carrying the weight of its own past success. 1. The new battlefield: apps, platforms, and ecosystems. The iPhone didn't just introduce a new phone, it introduced a new model, the smartphone as a software platform. Then Android arrived and scaled that model across many manufacturers and price points. The center of innovation moved into app stores and developer communities, touch-first interface design, rich web browsing and media consumption, fast upgrade cycles, and cloud-connected services. BlackBerry's older strengths, secure email and centralized enterprise management, were still valuable, but they were no longer sufficient to define leadership. 2. The good enough enterprise dilemma. At first, BlackBerry still held the enterprise high ground. Many organizations continued issuing BlackBerries, and many leaders still believed security would protect them from consumer competitors. But something changed. Secure enough became acceptable. Enterprises began finding ways to manage iPhones and Android phones. Mobile device management improved, security practices evolved. Companies realized they could set policies without controlling the entire hardware-software stack. Employees wanted modern phones, executives wanted better browsing, better user experience, and the growing world of apps. Once good enough security met great user experience, BlackBerry's biggest differentiator began to shrink. 3. The user becomes the buyer. In the BlackBerry era, IT departments acted as gatekeepers. In the iPhone-Android era, employees increasingly brought their own devices and companies adjusted. This consumerization of IT flipped the power dynamic. BlackBerry had been built for institutional purchasing decisions. Apple and Google built devices people loved personally. Then those devices pushed their way into the workplace. It became harder for a company to tell employees, "Use this phone you don't like," when everyone around them had a device that felt more capable, more fun, and more modern. The touchscreen shift wasn't just cosmetic, it was structural. A touchscreen wasn't just a different input method, it enabled larger, flexible interfaces, better web browsing, richer media experiences, new app designs, and fewer hardware constraints, no fixed keyboard shape. BlackBerry's identity was deeply tied to hardware: the keyboard, the compact screen, the business-first silhouette. That identity made it hard to pivot without alienating its core users. Meanwhile, the market increasingly preferred big screens and touch interaction. BlackBerry did introduce touchscreen models, but it struggled to match the smoothness and developer support of the leading platforms. The challenge wasn't just hardware design, it was the total system: OS, UI, performance, developer tools, and the app ecosystem. 5. The operating system problem. Modern smartphones demanded modern software. BlackBerry's early software architecture had been optimized for messaging and enterprise tasks. Modern smartphones required fluid graphics, multi-touch interactions, fast browsers, robust app frameworks, rapid feature updates, and strong multimedia support. Rebuilding a smartphone OS while competitors move at full speed is incredibly difficult. BlackBerry faced a classic dilemma. Its existing system was reliable for its traditional strengths, but it wasn't designed for the new world. Building a new system would take time the market wouldn't give. 6. The app gap, the invisible killer. Many product declines are visible: lower sales, bad reviews, ugly design. BlackBerry's killer was often invisible until it was too late: developer momentum. Developers go where users are, and users go where apps are. Once Apple's App Store and Android ecosystem took off, BlackBerry faced a feedback loop moving against it. Even if BlackBerry built good hardware, the question remained, does it have the apps I want? And if the answer was not really, the device became harder to recommend. The app gap was not just about games or social apps. It was about modern life: maps, banking, ride-sharing, content platforms, productivity tools, and the long tail of niche utilities. The smartphone became a Swiss Army knife. BlackBerry's toolset began to feel incomplete. 7. Attempts to respond, bold moves, late timing. BlackBerry did not sit still. It tried multiple strategies: redesigning hardware, including touch and hybrid models, improving browsing and multimedia, evolving enterprise services, investing in new operating systems and partnerships, promoting BBM as a broader messaging platform. But each attempt faced a brutal reality. Competitors weren't just ahead, they were accelerating. Apple refined iOS yearly. Android expanded rapidly, improving quality while spreading globally across manufacturers. Carriers and retailers supported the platforms customers demanded. Developers invested where growth was strongest. BlackBerry was fighting a multi-front war with less momentum. 8. The psychological trap: we know our customers. A company dominating enterprise markets can become convinced it understands what matters most: security, reliability, email, and productivity. Those did matter, but the smartphone era expanded the definition of productivity to include seamless integration with web services, visual communication and media, camera quality, sharing and social presence, navigation and location services, constant app-driven innovation. The smartphone stopped being just a tool for work. It became a tool for life, and life is a broader market than enterprise needs. BlackBerry's leadership had to make decisions while their core customers still loved the old strengths. That creates confusing signals. The most loyal users reinforce existing strategy, even as the wider market leaves. 9. BBM's missed transformation. BBM was powerful and beloved, and in some regions it was a social hub, but messaging became a global platform war of its own, with competitors growing rapidly across operating systems. If a messaging service remains strongly tied to one device ecosystem while the world becomes multi-platform, it risks shrinking with that ecosystem. BlackBerry did expand BBM beyond its own devices later, but by then, other messaging platforms had already built massive user bases. Network effects are unforgiving. People use the platform where everyone else is. 10. The enterprise fortress opens. Management and security become commoditized. BlackBerry's enterprise tools had been a fortress, but as mobile device management, encryption standards, and enterprise support improved across platforms, organizations gained options. This didn't mean BlackBerry's security was irrelevant. It meant it was no longer exclusive. Once enterprises believed they could manage iPhones and Android phones acceptably, the must-buy BlackBerry requirement weakened. And once executives and employees preferred other devices, enterprise standards followed them. 11. Brand perception shifts from status symbol to behind the times. A brand can survive technical challenges if it retains cultural relevance. BlackBerry's brand was once modern, fast, and powerful, but as sleek touch devices became the norm, BlackBerry's image began to shift to yesterday's phone. That perception becomes a self-fulfilling problem. Fewer cool users means fewer aspirational buyers, which means less retailer enthusiasm, fewer developers, and less press excitement. Even loyal users started facing social and practical friction: friends on other messaging apps, workplaces supporting other phones, and services optimized for iOS and Android. 12. The collapse is gradual, then sudden. The fall of a dominant tech brand is rarely a single cliff. It's more like erosion. Market share slowly declines, developer interest fades, app selection lags, consumers stop considering the brand, enterprise commitments loosen. The company shifts from leading to defending. Then the sudden moment arrives, a tipping point where the brand is no longer in the mainstream conversation. At that stage, recovery becomes extremely hard because the company isn't just behind in features, it's behind in ecosystem momentum. 13. Reinvention. From phone maker to security and software. If BlackBerry's rise was a story of perfect timing and uncompromising focus, the first stage of its fall was a story of misread signals. Not because BlackBerry's leaders were careless, but because the market's shift was subtle at first. In 2007 and 2008, BlackBerry still looked like the safe bet. The company had enterprise trust, carrier relationships, and a products line that businesses already relied on. Meanwhile, the iPhone looked new, expensive, and consumer-oriented. Many executives and IT teams treated it like a novelty. But the world was already changing in ways BlackBerry's old strengths couldn't fully protect against. 1. Two different definitions of smartphone. BlackBerry's core belief was that a smartphone was a communication device optimized for productivity, email, messaging, calendars, and secure enterprise workflows. Apple's belief was that a smartphone was a general-purpose computer, web, media, apps, a touchscreen interface, and a platform that could expand endlessly through software. Android would soon bring that platform model to a broad ecosystem of manufacturers and price points. At first, these definitions coexisted. You could be a BlackBerry person for work and still admire the iPhone. But over time, the platform definition won because it was simply larger. A platform can absorb productivity. A productivity phone struggles to absorb everything else. 2. The underestimated shift, the internet becomes full size. One of the biggest changes in the late 2000s wasn't just touchscreens or apps, it was the expectation that the mobile internet should feel like the real internet. BlackBerry devices were not designed around rich browsing experiences. They were designed around fast messaging and efficient data use, which made sense when networks were slower and expensive. Apple pushed the idea that browsing on a phone should feel closer to browsing on a computer. That changed user expectations quickly. People started using their phones for research, shopping, social discovery, and entertainment, not just for communication. Suddenly, a phone wasn't evaluated only on how quickly it handled email, but on how naturally it handled the entire web. BlackBerry could improve browsing, but it was reacting to a new baseline, not defining it. 3. App ecosystems, the quiet revolution that became a tidal wave. BlackBerry existed before app culture reached full power. There were apps, yes, but the idea that the phone was basically an operating system with a store of endless tools wasn't yet mainstream. When Apple's App Store appeared and Android followed, the smartphone became a living ecosystem that grew every month. New services began designing mobile-first experiences. Entire categories of businesses emerged that assumed you had iOS or Android. BlackBerry now faced a challenge that was hard to solve with hardware alone. Developers wanted big audiences. Audiences wanted great apps. Great apps went where developers felt momentum. Momentum went where audiences already were. That loop is brutal. Once it turns against you, it's like swimming upstream while the current strengthens. 4. Carrier dynamics change. Demand starts driving supply. In BlackBerry's early dominance, carriers had enormous influence. They controlled distribution, marketing, and often shaped phone design decisions. BlackBerry worked well in that environment. It gave carriers business customers, sticky subscribers, and reliable data use. But as iPhone and Android demand surged, carriers had to follow consumer interest. Retail floors shifted to promote the phones customers asked for. Marketing budgets shifted to the platforms generating excitement. The carrier relationship was still valuable, but it wasn't enough to stop customers from migrating. BlackBerry's strongest partnerships were built for yesterday's market structure, where carriers and IT departments controlled choices. The market began shifting toward end-user desire. 5. BlackBerry's identity problem. What do you become without the keyboard? The keyboard was BlackBerry's iconic feature, but it also created a strategic limitation. The keyboard shaped device size, screen layout, and interface choices. It encouraged a UI style designed around small screens and navigation tools like trackballs or trackpads. That made sense for email and messaging, but for a touch-first world, it became a constraint. BlackBerry faced an impossibly seeming question. If it keeps the keyboard, can it compete with large-screen touch-first devices? If it removes the keyboard, does it lose what makes it BlackBerry? This is where many fall stories begin, when a company's strongest brand asset becomes a strategic dilemma. 6. Enterprise loyalty starts to crack in slow motion. Enterprise customers rarely switch quickly. They plan, they test, they evaluate risks. But enterprise loyalty depends on one thing above all: confidence that the vendor can keep pace with the future. As iPhones and Androids improved, enterprise buyers began asking different questions. Can we secure and manage these newer devices sufficiently? Are employees demanding them? Will our tools and apps work better on these platforms? Are we limiting ourselves by staying on older systems? At first, these questions were future concerns, but future concerns become present decisions sooner than companies expect. 7. The consumer layer expands. Phones become social machines. BlackBerry's BBM was powerful, but the social universe outside BlackBerry was expanding quickly. Social networks and mobile messaging were becoming cross-platform experiences. People increasingly wanted to interact with anyone, not only people with the same device. In that environment, a platform locked to one ecosystem is at risk unless it has overwhelming dominance. BlackBerry still had a strong community, but the world was becoming interconnected across devices, and the gravity of platform ecosystems began pulling people toward cross-platform networks. 8. The speed gap. Iteration as a competitive advantage. In the platform era, speed isn't a luxury, it's survival. Apple refined iOS rapidly. Android evolved across versions quickly and spread across many devices. Manufacturers learned, failed, and improved fast. Apps updated constantly. Features that felt impressive one year became expected the next. BlackBerry's development cycle and enterprise-minded caution made fast iteration harder. Stability was a feature, but the market began treating constant evolution as a feature too. This is one of the deepest reasons BlackBerry's decline is so instructive. It shows how a company optimized for reliability can struggle when the market starts rewarding relentless change. 9. The first drift phase, defending instead of redefining. BlackBerry's earliest reaction wasn't wrong. Defend the enterprise, improve devices, add features, adjust. The problem was that defense rarely wins when the battlefield changes. The winners in platform shifts usually redefine the category rather than protect the old definition. BlackBerry remained extremely good at what it had been built for, but that what was no longer the center of the world. 10. The turning point feeling, when your competitors define the conversation. A subtle but telling sign of decline is when a company is no longer setting the industry narrative. In the early 2000s, BlackBerry was the device of modern work. People talked about BlackBerry as the symbol of mobile productivity. By 2009 and 2010, the conversation had moved. What apps do you use? Does it have a good camera? Is the browser fast? Which platform is better? How smooth is the UI? What's the ecosystem like? Those questions did not play to BlackBerry's original strengths. BlackBerry could answer them, but it was no longer the company inventing the questions. And once you stop defining the conversation, you often stop defining the market. In Part 4, we'll dig into the most intense phase, the scramble to reinvent. New strategies, new operating systems, bold device experiments, and a race against time as iOS and Android became the default choices for both consumers and businesses. The most dramatic stage of BlackBerry's fall wasn't a quiet fade. It was a series of high-stakes reinvention attempts. This is where the story becomes less like a simple "they missed the iPhone" narrative and more like a case study in what happens when a company tries to change its identity while the world is sprinting. BlackBerry needed to transform from a device and email company into a platform competitor. That meant rebuilding software foundations, attracting developers, refreshing hardware design, and convincing customers that it still belonged in the future. Doing all of that at once is brutally difficult, especially when your existing business still depends on stability and trust. 1. The core problem. A platform war requires a platform mindset. A platform company thinks in ecosystems, APIs and developer tools, app discovery and monetization, UI consistency and user delight, partnerships with service providers, rapid iteration and feedback loops, long-term roadmap coherence. BlackBerry's historic advantage came from integration and control, devices, services, and enterprise management working together. That made it excellent at secure messaging, but it did not automatically make it excellent at building the kind of developer-driven platform that iOS and Android were becoming. To survive, BlackBerry needed not just better phones, it needed a developer and consumer renaissance. 2. The Developer Attraction Challenge. Why build for BlackBerry? Developers have limited time. They go where they can reach users, earn money, and build experiences that feel modern. As iOS and Android grew, developers asked, "What's the return on investing in BlackBerry?" BlackBerry faced multiple layers of friction: smaller user base compared to iOS and Android, uncertainty about platform direction, tool chains and frameworks that didn't feel as attractive, fewer success stories of breakout apps, less media attention and hype. And once the top apps aren't present, customers notice, they compare, they hesitate, they leave. The app ecosystem gap widens. 3. Hardware experiments. Touch, hybrid, and identity confusion. BlackBerry tried multiple device directions: full touchscreen models, hybrid devices combining touch with keyboards, refined keyboard-centric designs. Each direction had trade-offs. Touchscreen devices made BlackBerry look modern, but often removed its iconic advantage. Keyboard devices kept its identity, but could feel constrained in an era of large screens and touch-first experiences. This led to what looked like confusion from the outside, but was actually a desperate search for a bridge: how to modernize without abandoning the loyal base. The cruel truth is that many transitions require painful trade-offs. Customers want continuity, but markets demand change. 4. The social and media shift. Phones became cameras, studios, and portals. In the early BlackBerry era, phones were communication tools. In the smartphone era, phones became cameras and editing studios, social posting and live sharing devices, entertainment hubs, navigation tools, shopping portals, and personal identity devices. That shift meant that a phone couldn't compete by being best at email alone. Email was still important, but it became one part of a larger experience. The winners were building devices people wanted to hold for hours, not just check for messages. BlackBerry had to build delight, not just reliability. 5. The enterprise anchor. Success that slows transformation. BlackBerry's enterprise business still generated revenue and loyalty. That sounds good, and it was, but it also created a strategic tension. When your enterprise customers rely on you, you become cautious about big changes that might disrupt them. Meanwhile, your competitors are moving fast, breaking things, learning and shipping improvements quickly. Consumer markets reward boldness. Enterprise markets punish instability. BlackBerry was caught between those worlds. It needed to move like a consumer platform company while maintaining enterprise-grade trust. That's one of the hardest balancing acts in tech. 6. Messaging wars. BBM versus a multi-platform world. BBM was a cultural phenomenon, but messaging was becoming more competitive and global. Cross-platform messaging apps were rising. Social networks integrated messaging. The default expectation became, I can message anyone regardless of phone. If your messaging platform is tied closely to your device ecosystem, it needs dominance, or it risks shrinking as your device share shrinks. Expanding beyond your ecosystem can help, but timing is everything. In messaging, network effects reward the early mover, who becomes the default. BlackBerry's messaging strength, once a moat, risked becoming an island. 7. The perception trap. Innovation judged by momentum, not effort. BlackBerry's reinvention efforts were real, and they required enormous work, but markets don't grade on effort, they grade on outcomes and momentum. The average consumer didn't see reinvention under pressure. They saw friends using iPhones and Android phones, app stores overflowing with options, smoother interfaces and bigger screens, stronger integration with emerging services. Even if BlackBerry launched impressive features, it was being compared to ecosystems that felt like the future by default. In the platform era, perception and reality reinforce each other. Momentum looks like inevitability. 8. The brutal nature of transitions. You can't pause the world. BlackBerry needed time to rebuild. The market gave it none. While BlackBerry was transitioning, iOS and Android kept improving. The bar rose every year. Better cameras, faster processors, improved app quality, richer services, stronger security features, more polished UIs. This is why late is so expensive in platform wars. You are not chasing a fixed target. You are chasing a moving target that accelerates. 9. The emotional layer. Loyal users versus mainstream migration. In the scramble years, BlackBerry had two audiences: loyal users who loved the keyboard, email efficiency, and BBM culture, and mainstream consumers and businesses migrating toward iOS and Android. These audiences wanted different things. Loyal users wanted BlackBerry to remain BlackBerry. The mainstream wanted BlackBerry to become something else, something that matched modern expectations. Trying to satisfy both can create a product that satisfies neither fully. That's not because of incompetence, it's because the goals conflict. 10. The tipping point approaches, when consideration disappears. A brand doesn't die when it loses users. It dies when it stops being considered by new users. The scramble years are when that can happen. If new buyers don't walk into a store and ask about you, your market share becomes a shrinking pool of loyalists and legacy deployments. As iOS and Android became the default recommendation, BlackBerry faced an existential challenge. It wasn't just competing on features, it was competing for relevance. By 2013, the platform war had hardened into two dominant ecosystems. BlackBerry was still fighting, still innovating, still shipping, but it was increasingly fighting uphill. In Part 5, we'll cover the final stage of the phone era decline and the beginning of something else, the pivot away from being a phone company toward becoming a security and software identity. This is where the story becomes both sobering and, in a way, admirable, because survival sometimes means letting go of the crown. When a technology company falls from dominance, people often expect a dramatic ending, a sudden collapse, a final failed product, a moment when the lights go out. BlackBerry's story is different. It's a story of strategic surrender and reinvention. A gradual realization that winning the smartphone platform war was no longer realistic, followed by a pivot toward areas where BlackBerry still held real advantages. This phase is emotionally difficult for any company because it requires admitting something most organizations resist admitting. "We are not going to be the leader in this market anymore." The platform duopoly becomes the new reality. By the mid-2010s, iOS and Android had effectively become the two dominant smartphone ecosystems. This wasn't just about device sales. It was about developer priorities, consumer expectations, service integrations, accessory markets, global carrier promotion, app economy gravity. A third ecosystem could exist, but it needed extraordinary momentum, differentiation, and timing. BlackBerry had differentiation in security and productivity, but momentum was increasingly against it. Even if BlackBerry made excellent devices, it still faced the ecosystem question. Why would developers prioritize BlackBerry? The answer was getting harder to justify. 2. The last mile problem. Even good products struggle without ecosystem oxygen. One of the tragedies of late-stage decline is that a company can produce genuinely solid products and still lose, because at that point, the battle is not only about product quality, it's about the invisible infrastructure of ecosystem success. App availability, social proof, everyone uses this, retail enthusiasm, developer excitement, media narrative. Without that oxygen, even good devices can feel isolated. This is why many people who loved BlackBerry devices during this era felt frustrated. They could see strengths, keyboards, messaging efficiency, enterprise trust, but they also felt the missing pieces, certain apps, certain integrations, certain mainstream conveniences. 3. Repositioning, from phone brand to security brand. BlackBerry's most durable asset was trust, especially in security and enterprise management, so the pivot made strategic sense: shift away from being primarily a handset maker and toward being a provider of enterprise mobility management, secure communication services, software and security solutions, embedded systems technology. This pivot is less glamorous than selling iconic devices, but it can be more sustainable. Many enterprise-focused companies thrive by doing unsexy but critical work. 4. The symbolism of stepping back from hardware. Hardware manufacturing is expensive. It requires supply chain mastery, inventory risk, constant marketing, and rapid iteration. When a company's market share shrinks, hardware becomes even riskier because it's harder to achieve scale. Stepping back from hardware is often the rational move, but it can feel like a defeat because the public associates the brand with the physical product. For BlackBerry, phones were the identity. Letting go of phones meant letting go of the most visible symbol of its legacy, but it also meant freeing the company from the most punishing part of the competition. The deeper lesson of the pivot: protect what is truly unique. In business, the most important question after a fall is, what do we still do better than anyone else, or at least well enough that customers will pay us? For BlackBerry, the answer was not cool consumer hardware. It was enterprise-grade security culture, secure communications experience, relationships in regulated and government environments, software expertise that could be applied beyond phones. In other words, BlackBerry returned to the core promise it had always sold: trust. 6. Why BlackBerry's fall feels personal to many people. BlackBerry wasn't just a product, it was a lifestyle tool, especially for people who lived inside email and messaging. Many users remember typing fast on a physical keyboard, using BBM as a primary social channel, the feeling of efficient, purposeful communication, a device that felt made for serious people. When a brand represents a way of working and communicating, its decline feels like the end of an era. It's not only nostalgia for a device, it's nostalgia for a time when communication felt simpler, more focused, and more private. Modern smartphones are powerful, but they can feel noisy. BlackBerry felt like a tool. That emotional difference matters. 7. Could BlackBerry have survived as a niche phone maker? This is one of the most common questions in hindsight. Could BlackBerry have survived by being smaller, serving keyboard lovers, security-focused users, and enterprise loyalists? Possibly, but the economics are harsh. Niche hardware businesses can survive, but they require careful supply chain management, strong margins, and a stable customer base. In a world where most services are optimized for iOS and Android, a niche platform still faces constant friction. Even if you use Android under the hood, you have to compete against dozens of Android manufacturers on price and features. BlackBerry's brand alone wasn't enough to guarantee profitability in a crowded market. 8. The brilliance of the original BlackBerry and why it mattered. BlackBerry's rise wasn't an accident. It solved the early mobile communication problem better than anyone else. It gave organizations secure, manageable devices, instant messaging and email reliability, a productivity culture built around responsiveness, a standard that influenced how modern mobile work operates. In many ways, modern mobile work culture, good and bad, was shaped by BlackBerry. The expectation of always reachable didn't start with Slack or Teams. It started when email moved into pockets. That legacy is enormous. 9. BlackBerry's fall as a warning for every successful company. BlackBerry's story is not mainly about keyboards or even smartphones. It's a universal lesson. When the market changes its definition of value, being perfect at the old value can become a trap. BlackBerry's old value, secure email and messaging, enterprise control and reliability, productivity-first design. The new value, platforms and app ecosystems, user choice and consumer delight, continuous software iteration, integration with evolving services. BlackBerry tried to bridge these worlds, but the platform era moved too fast, and the ecosystem gravity became too strong. The final takeaway: the rise and fall is also a rise and transform. If you tell BlackBerry's story as only a fall, you miss the more interesting truth. BlackBerry rose, dominated, fall from consumer prominence, and then attempted to transform into something else. That transformation is what many companies fail to do. Some collapse entirely, some refuse to change, some burn through resources chasing a crown that is no longer attainable. BlackBerry's pivot, however painful, was a rational response to the platform duopoly. And that leads to the most human lesson of all. Sometimes the smartest move is not to win the old war harder, but to choose a different battlefield where your strengths still matter. To really feel BlackBerry's rise and fall, it helps to watch it like a documentary, not as a single arc, but as a sequence of eras, each with its own logic, each shaped by what the world wanted at that moment. BlackBerry didn't simply get worse. The world's definition of a great phone changed, and BlackBerry's identity, built around enterprise-grade messaging, started to collide with a new, broader reality. Era A. The pager to email bridge, late 1990s, early 2000s. BlackBerry begins by solving a practical problem. Professionals need messages on the move reliably. The world is still in the pager mindset: short alerts, simple communication, limited expectations. BlackBerry's early wins come from the combination of wireless data, efficient delivery, and devices built for work. In this era, the product is not cool, it is useful. The audience is not everyone, it is people whose time is expensive and whose decisions can't wait until they're back at a desk. Market reality. Mobile data is limited and slow. The internet is desktop-centered. Email is a business weapon, not a lifestyle channel. Companies are beginning to digitize processes and speed up decision cycles. BlackBerry's identity forms here: instant, dependable communication. Era B, the enterprise standard, 2003 to 2006. This is the golden ramp. BlackBerry becomes the default corporate device. It's not just hardware, it's the system: security, management, and IT confidence. Organizations roll out BlackBerry deployments because they reduce chaos. BlackBerry's tools fit the enterprise worldview: policies, provisioning, control, and predictable behavior. The keyboard becomes iconic. Users develop muscle memory. They become fast. The device feels like an extension of the professional self. Many executives and managers begin to judge responsiveness as competence. A new culture emerges, the expectation of rapid replies. Market reality. Organizations fear data leaks and want controlled mobile access. Carriers and enterprise sales channels matter a lot. Consumers aren't demanding a pocket computer yet. Feature phones dominate. Smartphones are still for certain people. BlackBerry becomes the phone of serious people, and that social meaning reinforces sales. Era C, BBM and the social expansion, 2006-2008. BBM takes BlackBerry beyond the boardroom. In many communities, BBM becomes identity. PIN exchanges become a kind of social currency. Messaging feels private, fast, and special. Features like delivery confirmations and presence indicators become part of everyday behavior. Here, BlackBerry experiences something powerful, a cultural wave, and cultural waves can make a company feel invincible because they look like devotion rather than preference. Market reality. Social media is expanding. Mobile social is starting to matter. Messaging is becoming a daily habit, not a business utility. Users are beginning to value speed, convenience, and status in a phone. BlackBerry now has two pillars: enterprise dominance and social momentum. Era D, the iPhone shock and the denial window, 2007-2009. The iPhone's arrival is a category shift. Not everyone sees it immediately. Many enterprise leaders dismiss it as a consumer toy. Many people still think keyboards matter more than screens. But a deeper change begins. The smartphone becomes an object of desire and an ecosystem anchor. The shift is not only about touch, it's about a new definition of what a phone is for. The phone is no longer just communication. It becomes web, media, apps, camera, identity, and convenience. The bar for browsing and interface smoothness rises quickly. BlackBerry still sells, it still appears stable, but the conversation begins to change, and that's the early warning sign. When competitors define what matters, your strengths become less visible. Market reality. Consumer desire begins shaping enterprise decisions. Users begin choosing phones, not just receiving them. Web experience becomes a primary evaluation factor. The idea of apps as a personal toolkit begins taking off. BlackBerry's fortress holds, but hairline cracks form. Era F. Android scales the revolution, 2009-2011. If the iPhone was the shock, Android becomes the amplification. Android spreads the smartphone platform model across many manufacturers and price points. It accelerates adoption worldwide and expands the app ecosystem dramatically. Now the market isn't just Apple versus BlackBerry, it's platform ecosystems versus everything else. Developers, consumers, retailers, and service providers increasingly act like iOS and Android are the default destinations. That's crucial because ecosystems create gravity. People move where the world is building. BlackBerry's challenge becomes structural. It isn't only making phones, it's competing against platforms that are becoming the foundation of modern digital life. Market reality. The app economy expands quickly. Services optimize for iOS and Android first. Hardware competition intensifies and prices diversify. Touch-first experiences become normal. BlackBerry's traditional strengths remain, but they don't win the new scoring system. Era F. Reinvention attempts and the speed trap, 2011-2013. BlackBerry tries to modernize. This is the hardest era to live through a felon or employee because effort is high and results feel inconsistent. The company experiments with device types and tries to create a compelling modern experience without losing its identity. But the market is moving fast, and fast is not just about shipping devices, it's about shipping updates, building developer communities, refining UI patterns, and integrating services. The smartphone becomes a living organism, constantly evolving. A company optimized for enterprise stability has to learn the consumer rhythm of constant change. Market reality. Consumers demand polished interfaces and rich app choices. Social and media usage becomes central. Security becomes important, but increasingly solvable across platforms. Brand perception starts shifting from premium tool to lagging behind. The reinvention attempts are real, but the current is strong. Era G, the consideration collapse, 2013-2015. Many brands don't die when they lose share, they die when they lose consideration. This is when new buyers don't even ask about you, retailers don't prioritize you, developers don't plan for you. You become a niche memory rather than a mainstream choice. BlackBerry experiences this phenomenon as iOS and Android become the default recommendations. Even people who respect BlackBerry's security or keyboard might still choose another phone because the modern world assumes iOS and Android. Daily life services, banking apps, transport, shopping, content are built around those ecosystems. Market reality. The platform duopoly hardens. Switching costs rise, apps, habits, and ecosystems. Enterprises adopt bring-your-own-device more widely. Device choice becomes personal identity and lifestyle. This is the phase where decline feels inevitable, not because the company lacks talent, but because the market has chosen its default. Era H, the pivot and the post-phone identity, 2015-2016 plus. BlackBerry begins shifting away from being primarily a handset company towards being a security and software identity. This is less visible to consumers, but it is a survival strategy. BlackBerry still has assets: enterprise trust, security expertise, regulated industry relationships, and the credibility to sell secure systems. This era is the afterlife of a consumer brand. The public sees a fall, but the company tries to live on in another form. It is not the same story, but it is still a story. Market reality. Hardware becomes a brutal business without massive scale. Security becomes a product category in its own right. Enterprise software offers steadier revenue than consumer device wars. A brand can survive by retreating to its deepest strengths. BlackBerry's documentary timeline ends not with an explosion, but with a transformation. The crown is gone, but the name continues, just with a different mission. BlackBerry's fall is often explained as a failure of imagination. They didn't see touchscreens coming. But the more accurate explanation is deeper and more useful. BlackBerry's decline was a moat erosion problem combined with a platform economics problem, accelerated by a disruption pattern that flipped who the real customer was. This part breaks the fall down like a business autopsy, calmly, clearly, without mocking the past. Because the truth is, many smart companies would have struggled in BlackBerry's position. 1. The first mistake: believing the moat was permanent. BlackBerry's moat originally came from a combination of push email architecture and reliable messaging, security credibility, enterprise management tools, organizational lock-in, deployment standards, IT processes, a hardware identity, keyboard productivity. That moat was real. The mistake wasn't building it. The mistake was believing it would remain exclusive. Over time, competitors matched or made good enough versions of these advantages. iOS and Android improved security substantially. Mobile device management matured. Encrypted communication became standard. Enterprises learned to manage multiple device types. Cloud services reduced dependence on proprietary systems. A moat can erode slowly and invisibly until one day you look up and realize your unique advantage is now a feature checkbox. Business lesson: a moat must be refreshed continuously. If your moat depends on being the only one who can do X, expect that to end. 2. The second mistake: optimizing for the wrong decision maker. BlackBerry's sales engine and product philosophy were built around IT departments and enterprise buyers. That worked when IT controlled device choice, but the smartphone revolution shifted power to users, first consumers, then employees who brought their preferences to work. When the real buyer becomes the user, the winning strategy changes. User experience matters more. Design and delight matter more. App availability becomes critical. Ecosystem integration becomes a primary value driver. The pace of innovation accelerates. BlackBerry kept speaking to the old gatekeeper when the new gatekeeper, the user, was taking control. Business lesson: if your customer changes, your company must change faster than your legacy processes. 3. The third mistake: underestimating platform economics. This is the most important point. BlackBerry was competing in a market that stopped being a device market and became a platform market. In a device market, you can win with better hardware features, reliability, distribution, brand. In a platform market, you win with developers, apps, services, network effects, continuous iteration, ecosystem partnerships. BlackBerry's structure and culture were not born as a platform-first organization. It had platform components, but the market was demanding a different kind of platform dominance, one fueled by developer energy and consumer excitement. Business lesson: platforms create flywheels. Once a competitor's flywheel spins faster, you can't catch them with better devices alone. 4. The fourth mistake: being too late in the app economy. Timing matters in network effect markets. The app economy expanded rapidly. Once developers commit resources to iOS and Android, they build habits, libraries, knowledge, and business models tied to those ecosystems. Even if BlackBerry later offers better tools, the switching incentive is low. Late entry in an ecosystem war is expensive because you're not catching a static target, you're catching a moving target that has already attracted the best talent and the largest audiences. This is why "we'll fix it in the next version" often fails. By the time the next version arrives, the ecosystem gap has widened further. Business lesson: in ecosystem markets, delay is not neutral, it is negative compounding. 5. The fifth mistake: confusing loyalty with future demand. BlackBerry had passionate loyalists, executives who loved the keyboard, communities that lived on BBM, enterprise IT teams that trusted the system. Loyalty is powerful, but it can also create a false sense of security. Loyal customers reflect your past success, but your survival depends on new users, especially in consumer tech. If you lose new user adoption, your market share becomes a shrinking pool of legacy users. That decline can be slow at first, then rapid once the mainstream stops considering you. Business lesson: loyalty protects revenue temporarily, not relevance indefinitely. 6. The sixth mistake: identity rigidity and the core feature trap. The keyboard was a core differentiator, but it also locked BlackBerry into a form factor and UI approach that became less compatible with the touch-first world. Changing the form factor risked alienating loyal users. Keeping it risked limiting mainstream appeal. This is the core feature trap, when your strongest brand asset becomes a constraint in the next market era. Many companies face this. A company known for simplicity struggles to add power user features. A company known for premium pricing struggles to compete in mass markets. A company known for physical design struggles when software becomes the battlefield. BlackBerry needed to evolve beyond the keyboard without losing its soul, and that is a hard transformation. Business lesson: every iconic feature eventually becomes a decision. Evolve it, reinterpret it, or be trapped by it. 7. The seventh mistake: speed mismatch between enterprise culture and consumer reality. Enterprise customers punish instability. Consumer markets reward novelty and rapid iteration. BlackBerry's culture, built for enterprise reliability, naturally leaned toward caution. That caution was valuable in the early era. In the platform era, it became a disadvantage. Apple and Android competitors were iterating at a pace that redefined expectations yearly. In many tech battles, the rate of learning becomes a competitive advantage. Whoever learns faster improves faster, and whoever improves faster attracts more users, developers, and partners, creating an accelerating loop. Business lesson: if you can't match the market's speed, you must change the game or choose a different battlefield. 8. The eighth mistake: treating consumer experience as secondary. When smartphones became lifestyle devices, the winning companies obsessed over interface fluidity, camera quality, media and entertainment, app discovery, social integration, and frictionless onboarding. BlackBerry had strong productivity and security, but the consumer experience became the mainstream scoreboard. Even enterprise executives increasingly wanted the phone everyone loves, not just the phone IT trusts. Business lesson: when delight becomes a requirement, functionality alone won't win. 9. The ninth mistake: BBM's network effects weren't converted into platform independence fast enough. BBM had network effects, but it was strongly associated with BlackBerry devices. As the world moved cross-platform, messaging value shifted towards services that worked everywhere. If BBM had become the universal cross-platform default earlier, it might have created a new moat that was independent of handset share. But messaging markets are unforgiving. Once another platform becomes the default in social circles, switching is difficult because the product is the network. Business lesson: if you have a network effect asset, you must decide early whether it is device-tied or world-tied. The final strategic reality: you can be right and still lose. BlackBerry wasn't wrong about the importance of secure communication. It wasn't wrong about productivity. It wasn't wrong that keyboards are efficient. It simply lost because the market's definition of value expanded faster than BlackBerry's ability to expand its identity and ecosystem. That's the painful truth. BlackBerry's core strengths remained real, but they stopped being enough to win. This final continuation isn't about blaming, it's about learning. If you could rewind to 2007-2010 and give BlackBerry a strategy that might have preserved relevance, what would it look like? We can't assume miracles. We can't assume the iPhone fails. We can't assume Android never scales. We have to design a strategy that respects reality. iOS and Android are coming. Apps are coming. Touch is coming, and the platform era is coming. So the real question becomes, how could BlackBerry have remained a major player anyway? Strategy 1. Become the secure Android company early, before the duopoly hardens. One plausible alternate path is that BlackBerry stops trying to win with the proprietary OS early enough and instead becomes the world's most trusted secure layer on top of a mainstream platform. Imagine BlackBerry saying in 2009 or 2010, "We will adopt Android as the base platform. We will build enterprise-grade security, encryption, and management deep into the system. We will deliver the best keyboard hardware in the Android world. We will give enterprises a phone employees actually want, with IT-grade control." This strategy uses BlackBerry's strengths: security, trust, enterprise relationships, keyboard design, while avoiding the impossible burden of competing OS to OS against Apple and the entire Android ecosystem. It also solves the app gap immediately. If you run a mainstream platform, you can offer mainstream apps. Trade-off: BlackBerry would sacrifice the pride of owning the full stack, but it might gain survival and scale. Strategy 2. Make BBM platform independent early and turn it into a universal identity. BBM could have become BlackBerry's Google search equivalent, the product that remains essential even if devices change. The key would have been to expand BBM cross-platform early, before other messaging apps captured global defaults. That would require releasing BBM on iOS and Android while BlackBerry still had strong brand cachet, making BBM identity-based, not device-based, in a way that feels universal, offering killer features, reliability, privacy, group coordination, enterprise and team modes, building a developer layer or integrations so BBM becomes a hub, not just chat. If successful, BBM could have become the sticky network that keeps BlackBerry relevant. Devices could then be one expression of the ecosystem, not the whole ecosystem. Trade-off. Cross-platform BBM could reduce the exclusive club appeal of BlackBerry devices, but exclusivity is a short-term benefit compared to long-term network dominance. Strategy 3. Split the company into two brands, enterprise stability versus consumer experimentation. BlackBerry's biggest internal tension was enterprise caution versus consumer speed. One alternate history move is to treat these as two separate missions with different cultures and different product rhythms. BlackBerry Enterprise, slow, stable, policy-driven, security first. BlackBerry Labs, consumer, fast iteration, touch-first experiments, design-led development, and aggressive app partnerships. The consumer group would operate more like a startup, free to take risks without threatening enterprise trust. Meanwhile, the enterprise group continues servicing government and regulated industries with predictable tools. This approach is hard organizationally. Companies struggle to run two tempos, but it can work when markets demand both. Trade-off. Managing two cultures can create conflict, but it may be better than being stuck in one tempo while the market demands another. Strategy 4. Redefine productivity beyond email. Own the future of mobile work apps. BlackBerry's definition of productivity was email, messaging, calendar. In the platform era, productivity becomes broader. Cloud documents, collaboration tools, workflow automation, identity, authentication, and secure access to services. BlackBerry could have led by building an enterprise app ecosystem with great developer incentives, best-in-class mobile document editing and collaboration, secure identity and authentication services, a unified dashboard for enterprise workflows, tight integration with major enterprise software vendors. Instead of competing on being the best email phone, BlackBerry could become the best mobile work platform, even if it used another OS underneath. Trade-off. This requires heavy partnerships and a shift from device thinking to software thinking, but BlackBerry already had enterprise trust to open those doors. Strategy 6. Act earlier, because in platform wars, timing is destiny. All these alternate strategies depend on one brutal requirement: early commitment. The biggest enemy in BlackBerry's real history wasn't a single wrong decision, it was the compounding effect of delayed strategic clarity. If you wait too long, developers settle elsewhere, users build habits elsewhere, enterprises adopt new policies, retailers change shelf priorities, brand perception shifts permanently. In other words, even the right strategy can fail if executed late. Strategy 7. The most realistic win condition. Could BlackBerry have remained number one? Probably not, given Apple's design lead and Android's scale, but winning doesn't have to mean being number one. A realistic alternate win condition might have been a strong number 3 globally for a period, secure enterprise segments, a profitable premium niche hardware line, BBM as a cross-platform messaging asset, a respected security and software business with consumer recognition. That outcome would look less like a fall and more like a strategic evolution, not the emperor of smartphones, but a durable institution in mobile security and productivity. The final lesson of the alternate history. BlackBerry's core tragedy is that it had assets many companies would dream of: brand trust, enterprise relationships, secure communication expertise, and a beloved messaging network. The market didn't destroy those assets. The platform shift simply demanded that those assets be rearranged into a new strategy fast enough. If BlackBerry had shifted earlier towards mainstream platforms for apps, cross-platform messaging for network effects, and software-first productivity for the future of work, it might have remained a major, profitable, and culturally relevant player. And that's why the story resonates, because it's not about stupidity or laziness. It's about how quickly the world can redefine what matters and how hard it is for a company built for one era to rebuild itself for the next.